All right, now that is President Trump standing firm on his promise to get migrant gang members out of the country.
And now some Republican lawmakers are pushing to impeach the federal judge who ruled against those deportation flights to El Salvador.
Lucas Tomlinson joins us now with more. Hey, Lucas.
Good morning, Ainsley. Good morning, guys. That's right. House Republicans have introduced a measure to impeach that Obama-appointed judge who tried to bar those deportation flights of Venezuelan gang members. President Trump told our own Laura Ingraham he stands by his decision to launch those planes.
Do you have faith that the Supreme Court ultimately will rule in your favor in this case?
I do, because the job of getting people out of our country that are murderers, that are absolutely the worst people, the drug lords, we're supposed to be getting them out or getting them brought to justice.
Would you defy a court order? Because we all know that, and that was outrageous.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future?
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges.
Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi and her deputy write there was no violation of the court's written order since the relevant flights left U.S. airspace, and so their documents were removed before the order issued. And the court's earlier oral statements were not independently enforceable as injunctions. Now, the Justice Department has till noon today to answer the following questions about the flights. What time did the plane take off from U.S. soil and from where? What time did it leave U.S. airspace? What time did it land in which foreign country, including if it made more than one stop? What time were individuals subject solely to the proclamation transferred out of U.S. custody? How many people were aboard solely on the basis of the proclamation? Now, Chief Justice John Roberts disagrees with impeachment, writing for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. Now, these questions all appear straightforward, guys, 4 times and a head count. And by the way, I have a question, guys. When's the parade for those astronauts?
Oh,
Yeah,
good
exactly.
idea. Good idea.
All right, thanks so much, Lucas. But here's the thing. This is judge fair. This is the only way
100%.
President Trump could be stopped. The Democrats can't stop him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to manipulate the system, work the system. But now you have this judge who's asking a series of questions to stop the future flights. Venezuela has gone back on their word to accept their gangsters back, so El Salvador stepped up. So that's another issue. But the 261 aren't moving. I want the next 261, but it wasn't the only problem yesterday. An appeals court judge stopped the EPA from cutting $20 billion in grants. An appeals court judge stopped them from cutting the USAID program. So this is one after another. Them going at also a judge stopped stop the banning of transgender service members in the Pentagon. So whose agenda is it? Some Obama-appointed judge, or is it President Trump that got elected?
And
this is an issue.
And we're talking about certain issues where the courts don't have oversight over. When there's discretion to the State Department, when there's discretion to the president and the executive. I don't necessarily disagree with the statement from the Supreme Court Justice, the Chief Justice, but it was missing checking the judges and telling them to stay within their lane. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Well, I think, let's see, on Friday, the judge is going to meet with the Department of Justice and the 5 people who brought the lawsuit against him with the ACLU. We told you about that yesterday. That's the reason this temporary stop happened, because lawyers said, look, those 5 people shouldn't be on those flights, and they were not deported. Here's the thing. The president absolutely, because he signed that executive order, has the authority to deport the bad guys, especially, and he made it very clear, he has the authority to deport terrorist gang members. The question is whether or not those 5 people that the lawsuit was all about are actually TDA. And apparently the lawyers have told the Department of Justice that they were not gang members. They were targeted by TDA when they were in Venezuela. And in a filing by the Department of Justice, records show that several did not have records in the United States. And apparently others were simply arrested near raids. So the question is whether or not they really were gang members. But the president absolutely,
so they're
accusing
our law enforcement then, Steve, of fudging this, that they're planting evidence.
That they were good guys.
That they were good guys.
Leaders.
I mean, that they're just making all of this up.
President Trump said, I don't know who this judge is, but he's a radical left. Obama appointee. He's actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be able to take them out of our country. country. Well, that's a presidential job.
Yeah.
That's not for a local judge to be making the determination.
And that's what I said. I said the president's got the authority to do it. The question is, were they gang members?
Does this judge
weren't,
want the 130 that were under the Alien Enemies?
Yeah.
Well, he's upset about the Alien Enemies Act. There were 130 that were removed for that. Does he want them to come back? Should we put them in his community?
I agree. So if they're not TDA, they've definitely broken the law. This is maybe one resolve is this: you list the transgressions, and that's just it. And that actually helps our show too.
Good morning, Carly and Todd. Federal Judge James Boasberg says the Trump administration is evading its obligations after the Justice Department missed a noon deadline yesterday to privately give more details regarding those deportation flights to El Salvador. Boasberg says instead of giving the information he wanted, the government gave a 6-paragraph declaration from an Immigration and Customs Enforcement office in Texas. The declaration notified the court that cabinet secretaries are considering whether to invoke state secrets privilege, which allows the government to withhold certain information because of national security concerns. Boasberg called that response, quote, woefully insufficient, adding, to begin, the government cannot proffer a regional ICE official to attest to cabinet-level discussions of the state secrets privilege. Boasberg wants the DOJ to answer several questions, including what time the planes took off from the U.S. and how many migrants were removed via the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. President Trump is now calling on the Supreme Court to step in, saying unlawful nationwide injunctions by radical left judges could very well lead to the destruction of our country. Now, Republican Missouri Senator Josh Hawley is proposing legislation to restrict the lower court's ability to issue nationwide injunctions.
What these courts are doing, these district courts, is wrong. It is unconstitutional. I want to be real clear. To me, this isn't about Congress taking away power courts currently have. This is about Congress reforming and stopping the abuse. They do not have the authority to go out and to say, Mr. President, you can't do this. Congress can make that clear. We need to do it right this second.
Judge Boasberg wants the DOJ to hand in a sworn declaration today from someone involved in the cabinet-level discussions about why it's considering invoking state secrets privilege. Carly and Todd.
All right, Madeline Rivera live for us in Washington. Maddie, thank you.
You got it.
Let's bring in John Trapacatori, who is the former head of ICE in the Denver region. John, good morning to you. So there are several things that we know about this flight situation. One of them is that the president was elected to get criminal illegal immigrants out of this country. Another thing we know is that El Salvador is willing to take these people. And the third thing that we know is that one federal judge is blocking that from happening. But then there are a few details that remain unclear. One side is saying that these migrants deserve their day in court, due process to make sure that they are, in fact, criminal illegal immigrants. But then the Trump administration is saying that, with this Alien Enemies Act, that these people are from Venezuela, which is pretty much a criminal state, and that he needs to move quickly to deport these people. So weigh in on that portion of it. Which side is right, which side is wrong, and where do things go from here?
Well, over the last 4 years, we've had a predatory incursion of foreign terrorist organizations, Tren de Aragua being one of them. And Tren de Aragua has been labeled a foreign terrorist organization by the Trump administration. They were transnational criminal organizations. They came into this country. They committed murders, rapes, extortions. And it is the right thing to do this. Look, taking these guys right now and sending them back over, sending them to El Salvador, makes that process go faster, gets them out of this country, and makes this country definitely safer.
Yeah. Tom Homan was asked by a reporter, what do you say to critics who say you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process? And he said, well, the Constitution is even older than that law. And we take the Constitution very seriously. I also want to ask you about this situation that's unfolding in Aurora, Colorado. There were 2 illegal immigrants who escaped from a detention facility there, and ICE is now searching for them. And they claimed that they asked local law enforcement to help in the search, and Aurora police refused to do that. Now, the Aurora Police Department is disputing that claim. Take a listen to the police chief here.
The Aurora Police Department was not given immediate notification of an act of escape. Instead, we were informed hours later, after ICE GEO had already lost valuable time for their own internal response. Had APD been properly notified at the moment of the escape, our officers could have deployed resources immediately to establish a containment, coordinate with regional partners, and to assist in tracking those individuals.
Okay, so ICE waited 2 hours after they found out that these guys went missing to notify local police, and that's what the police chief is referring to there. So what do you think about that?
There's definitely a communications breakdown here. And I think that communications breakdown comes from the fact that Colorado is a sanctuary state, and ICE does not work as closely as it should with local law enforcement because of that sanctuary status. We really need to stop this, where we're keeping local law enforcement from having good relationships with ICE, because this is the kind of situation that happens where you have this breakdown. You have a situation where two people escape from a jail and you can't even communicate properly with the police chief.
Yeah, and you know, another part of this story that is pressing as well is the reason that these two illegal immigrants escaped in the first place is because there was a power outage at this facility. The door unlocked and these two guys just walked out. It sounds like this situation could have been much worse. Maybe these were the only two people who realized that the door unlocked and they could just walk out. Will ICE be able to catch these guys?
So ICE has great fugitive operations teams. The men and women who are on those teams really know what they're doing. They're going to go out into the community. They will investigate this, and hopefully they will catch these two escapees as fast as possible. As for the door unlocking like it did during a power outage, that's got to be investigated as well. And we will see exactly what happened in that situation.
All right, John Fabricatori, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for watching the video. Please share your opinion on the discussion and comment what you think. President Trump is doing what he promised before being elected, or this is a political stunt. Your opinion is important. Also, if you have yet not subscribed our channel, please subscribe it now and support us.